Hey guys, welcome to Calico Radio. I'm Taryn. Today we are going to be checking out, or rather tomorrow for me, but today in this video, we're going to be checking out the Knitting and Stitching show in Belfast, Northern Ireland. The Knitting and Stitching show is the biggest fibre festival on the island, and it is part of a series. I believe there are two other shows in other places in the UK, but I am very excited to go today because I have never been to Northern Ireland. I am going to take the train with a friend early in the morning, and then we're going to come back at the end of the day. Belfast is a little over 2 hours away by train, and I think it's very doable as a day trip, but let's see. There are a lot of things going on at this fibre festival, so it's not going to just be knitting, it's going to be sewing. There's a dressmaking competition, which I'm very excited to check out. There's also going to be some exhibitions there. I would say really shopping is not my priority, but of course I'm sure I will buy things. So I will show you guys everything that I pick up and also the festival itself. Yeah, so if you guys are interested, come along. I'm very excited to go and to show you guys around. We got into Belfast a little after 9 a.m. and then we wandered around the city a bit before making our way to the Titanic Exhibition Centre, which was where the Fibre Festival was held. And fun fact, this is where the Titanic was built. It looks deceivingly empty outside, but once we got inside, the crowds were honestly pretty incredible. They had the submissions for the dressmaking competition on display throughout the festival, and they even had some knit and crochet ones, which were super cool to see. And there were also a lot of vendors selling little amigurumi kits, like these little stuffed animals, but I was particularly excited to see the Toff stuffies in person. They are so cute. I love how they're the real colors of the actual animal. There was also a very nice variety of hand-dyed yarns. More on that later. I did pick up some, so I will show you guys that at the end of the video. And probably the busiest stands were the fabric vendors. The absolute highlight for me was getting to see Harriet Riddle live. She's a free motion embroidery artist who does portraits of live subjects as well as a lot of other things like landscapes and buildings. And she's also traveled all over the world with her sewing machine and sometimes powers it with a bicycle. There was also a full exhibit of her work as well as some screen prints of her more famous pieces. And my favorite was this self-portrait of her making her self-portrait. It reminds me of Norman Rockwell's triple self-portrait. And last but not least, I took a 90-minute workshop to learn how to brioche knit. Hey Woody. Do you want to come say hello? Hey guys, welcome back. I have a couple things to show you that I bought, and also, yeah, I just kind of wanted to talk a little bit about the Fibre Festival. I didn't take as many clips as I had intended to because it was incredibly busy. The tickets were sold out for Saturday, and I think they did kind of release a couple just for the afternoon. So when we first got there, we did a little lap and we checked out all the major yarn vendors there and just went around and looked at what they had, and then we were gonna kind of sit down and check our Ravelry and our shopping lists to see what we wanted to buy. He's grumbling at the neighbors as usual. And to give you kind of a breakdown of the types of vendors that were there, it was mostly sewing and fabric vendors. I think there were probably 3 different stands with just sewing machines that you could kind of check out. There were some that were literally $6,000, so it was cool to see just them on display, I guess, but I'm not a sewer, not yet. I would like to learn how to sew. And knitting wise, I was actually a little bit surprised that there weren't more yarn vendors, but it was enough for me. Like, I prefer not to have too many options, honestly, because I did have a couple ideas of things I wanted to buy, and yeah, I will show you those now. I ended up buying 3 skeins of this yarn from Blue Irish Bay. It is a blue-faced Leicester base, and it's fingering weight, 2-ply, and naturally dyed. So Blue Irish Bay, I unfortunately didn't catch her name, but she was so helpful. Actually, she was the first vendor we talked to, and then we thought, okay, we should check out other things, but I was honestly already kind of sold on her stuff when we talked to her. And then we came back at the end of the day and made a few purchases, and she was so helpful. Like, gave me a lot of really nice tips because I would like to get into cable knitting a bit more, especially being in Ireland with the traditional Aran sweaters. And she recommended that I hold this yarn double because it's 2-ply, and she recommends using 4-ply yarn for cables because it kind of makes it pop out a bit more and really showcases the cables, while if I did it only with a 2-ply yarn, she said it'd be pretty flat, which is not really what you want if you've taken all the time to make the cables. I bought this to make the Ramona vest by Boho Chic Fibre Co. I think it's going to look really nice in this green color, very autumnal, and it's not too complicated. It just has a braided cable down the front and then the rest is stockinette. My friend also bought some like hand-dyed yarn. They had some really nice hand-dyed yarn options there. So even though there weren't as many vendors for yarn, they kind of covered all their bases. Like they had hand-dyed yarn, they had this kind of monochrome naturally dyed yarn. They also had vendors that were selling bigger brands of yarn, which were very popular. I wanted a sock yarn from Shopwool, but I didn't want to venture inside those booths because they were just incredibly busy, and it's okay. I think I can probably find that at one of the yarn shops here anyway. There were also embroidery kits that were very tempting. I also did a workshop to learn how to brioche knit, and it was very interesting. I enjoyed it a lot. This was the gauge swatch that I made in that class. The class itself was 90 minutes, which I thought was going to be a long class, but it flew by. Like, I definitely could have sat there longer and practiced with my swatches. The woman was also very nice in giving us the yarn. She supplied the yarn, and she also gave us the knitting needles. That was very fun. I'm excited to try brioche knitting, maybe just like a straight scarf or something like that. And also in that class, it was really nice. I ran into somebody that I knew from Dublin that's also a knitter. We moved here only 3 months ago, and it's pretty wild to run into somebody you've met in Dublin in another city. I mean, we have a shared hobby, but still it kind of really feels like a nice small community that you run into other knitters in other cities. And as far as going back, I think I would, but I probably wouldn't go on a Saturday, honestly. Everyone was super nice, but it just was a bit too crowded for me at times. And I'm not a crowds person, so I think it would be nice just to have a little bit more downtime and quiet time. I definitely enjoyed the buzz of it though. Like, it was very nice to see everybody's projects. Like, I could identify some of the sweaters, like the ranunculus and the Salty Day sweater by Kutuvakika, and all these sweaters that I've seen online that I've never seen in person, so that was very cool. I think it was good I didn't go the first day because I had heard from some people that they were still kind of getting things organized. People were struggling to get like refreshments like food and water and these things. So I talked to somebody that recommended I bring my own water, maybe some snacks. But by the time we had gotten there on Saturday, everything was sorted. Like, they had a food truck outside and stuff, and it was good weather, so it all worked out well. Overall, it was really great. That was my first real fiber festival with big crowds, and just the energy was really good. Actually, one of the reasons I was extra excited to buy this yarn was because when we first walked up, one of the women that was standing there, she really liked my sweater and we were chatting, and then I asked her something about the yarn because I thought maybe it was her stand, and then she said, oh no, it's my granddaughter's. So her granddaughter is the one that dyes it, so she was there, and then at some point we're also talking and her mom was there, which I think is so cool. Having the 3 generations there, seeing the support that she also had was very cool. But yeah, there's just something about those conventions and those festivals that is, I don't know, it's very exciting to see. Even during the brioche workshop, it was so cool to be sitting around a table and looking around, and everyone has their own style of knitting. Like, nobody knits the same way. A lot of really nice little interactions with people. I would definitely go back, honestly. Crowd or no crowd, I would go back. Yeah, but if anyone is interested in going, I would absolutely recommend it. Great time, great environment. Thanks so much for coming along, guys. I had a great time, and I hope you did too. And I'll see you in the next video.